And you caught me. I was like, I forgot my one little thing I need, and it happened to happen during the 60-second. It's just the way it is in life. I'll go back and watch that later. It'll be interesting. So, hey, welcome to Osceola Matters, and we have some great people that come and join us all the time, but I'm not sure that I have more fun than I have with these two gentlemen right here, and that would be Bill Litton, the Director of Emergency Management, Osceola County, and Andrew Sullivan, the Public Information Coordinator of Osceola County Fire Rescue and EMS, and of course with the Office of Emergency Management, Osceola County. And now you know why I had to jump over there and get that. I wanted to make sure I got the titles right.
Part of our discussion today is going to talk about preparation, Keith. So we're right in tune with you today.
I was prepared. It was geographically beyond my shoulders reach, so to speak, without getting into that whole fun thing. So here we are. It's May. Honestly, it seemed like I remember saying, we're going to really get an early jump on this whole hurricane preparedness thing. When we talk about it, it's going to be so early. People are going to go, oh my gosh, why are you talking about that so early? And here we are talking about it, and it's really not early at all.
No.
Correct?
Every year we go through it, and I think a lot of us thought, well, quite a few of us have been home for whatever reason over the past year. We thought, well, we'd be better prepared. We'd have more things in order, and then here we are again. So Yep, you're absolutely right. Here we are, and now is the time.
All right, so let's go ahead and lead off. We'll lead off with Bill. And again, thanks for both you guys are ultra busy, and so it's way cool that you're here. And so I'll just I guess lead off with Bill. So we're talking June 1st is the start of it.
Correct.
And I won't steal your thunder. I'll let you run with it. But so from your position, we've had a different year for sure when you get caught up in all that. But in reality, some things aren't different. We have to prepare for what typically does bring some risk and some threat to Central Florida and state of Florida and much of the United States. So I'll turn it over to you and just talk about, kick off some hurricane preparedness, if you would.
Sure. Be glad to talk about a little bit about what we're facing currently. We're still planning, even in the midst of our pandemic currently that we're still in, even though the case numbers and the positivity is going down, which is a great sign not only for our state but our country. But we're planned really very similar to what we had last year for hurricane preparation. I know Andrew's going to cover a little bit about our hurricanes and more prep-wise. I was going to cover more on the actual outlook, what we're looking at as far as prediction storms, those type things. So that sort of playbook that we had in mind, it's still in queue. So a lot of those features, screening, the social distancing, limited spacing at our shelters, individual packaged meals, very separate from what we've done in the past, working with our school system and sort of Red Cross and those type things when we do our feeding. So that would be definitely different. Big message, if you're in a site structured built home, really stay in place this year as we did last year. If you don't feel safe in that, now is the time to start making plans for staying with friends and family. And if you have to travel out of the area, don't travel, hundreds of miles. Look at 15, 20 miles outside of the threat area. So that's one of our first focuses. We, continue to plan and prep throughout the year, even on top of the COVID pandemic. So really on the number size, we will not have the actual forecast from NOAA until another couple of weeks. May 22nd, we'll get the update from NOAA, National Weather Service, and the National Hurricane Center. But the other vetted body that we utilize is the Colorado State Tropical Meteorology Team. They are the experts in the field. Dr. William Gray, who's now passed away several years ago, his prodigy, Dr. Phil Klossbach, took over for his research. So he releases several updates throughout the spring months up to August, just before we start the peak of hurricane season in September. So right now his first forecast is 17 named storms, 8 of those being hurricanes and 4 being major. So that's definitely above normal, what they forecast above normal year. But also something interesting happened last month from NOAA. They did some of their data analysis. Their typical average season, or what we went by as an average season, was 12, 6, and 3. And that's sort of what our trailer mark was of what we could expect if we were below or above average. Now they've moved that up. So now it is rated at 14, 7, and 3. So if you take that with Dr. Phil's team and what they've already forecasted or looking to forecast, it's sort of right in line of what now NOAA is going to forecast as an average season. So take that in mind. But I always, when I talk to our residents, our guests, when I do community presentations, don't get enthralled with the numbers. It only takes one storm or one tropical system to have long-lasting impact on our community. And that can be from wind damage, that can be from flood events. So multiple factors go into, a tropical cyclone. So that's one thing we're looking at and definitely encouraging our residents and our guests, because right now we've got a lot of guests that are coming back to Florida and also our area to experience our tourism market, which is a good thing as well. But we want to educate them on what you do and how to prepare and what things you need to do to look out before we get to that top of the season. Now's the time to start looking at some of those items. Andrew's going to review some of those things with our group tonight. But keeping in mind, our peak of the hurricane season is typically September and the first couple weeks of October. So that's when we'll see the most amount of storms that would be impacting on us, Atlantic side, and then moving on to the Gulf of Mexico side from those storms. So,
well said. What crazy as it is, I can remember. I've lived in this area for a long time. I can remember when I don't know where this information came from, and I look back now, and it is a gigantic chuckle. But I can remember people saying, "Don't worry about it if a hurricane hits on the coast, because we live inland, and by the time it gets to us, it'll just be breezy," which is like just a magnificent amount of not trueness.
Right, exactly.
New word I made.
Experience, over the last couple of years. I mean, you think of Michael hitting the Panhandle, Dorian sideswipe in Florida. Thankfully, did not make a landfall, because that would have been catastrophic just in the south area or even inland, like you say. The wind field would have definitely gone inward there. And I think, for most of us that experienced 04 and 05, then after that, we had that really lack of any type of tropical storm system that affected the state of Florida for some time. And we call it hurricane amnesia in the emergency management profession. And people actually forget about it. They put it on the shelf. Oh, yeah, that'll happen. But then we've seen this, almost in a 4-year pattern of more intense storms and basically more close to landfall too. And if they do make landfall, they're more impactful to our residents. So it's really keeping that knowledge base up there, educating, because I think a lot of our community and the ones that have moved here now had never experienced the 04 storms, the 3 back in a row, and then 05 as well. So.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like the sound of a hurricane to remind us how we are not all that powerful when that thing's happening. There's nothing you can do. Then it becomes what, the word Andrew used again earlier, which is preparedness. What you've done is what you've done. And there isn't much you can do at that point. Certainly, even first responders can't get to you in most cases. And so it's just too late. That's why we're talking now. Right. So Andrew, why don't you take it over?
Yeah, so as far as emergency management and our plan for everyone, really we try to boil it down to 4 distinct points, and 3 of those things you can actually accomplish right now. Our residents, our visitors, and our businesses can all get it done now. So make a plan, step 1. Build a kit, step 2. Stay informed, step 3. And then the 4th thing that you can't really do right yet is take action. So if you get all the 3 taken care of right now, the take action part is actually the easiest thing to do. So making a plan is really just identifying what action you will take, where you will go in the event of an evacuation if you're evacuated, what sorts of things you need to identify now, go through and make sure you have all those important documents all set. find out if your home is located in a flood zone. You think of all the blustery wind, tornadoes, and all of that, but it's actually flood water that's the most dangerous condition that comes from hurricanes. So you find that people find themselves in these situations that are very dangerous very quickly because they don't really understand the power of moving water or rising water. So we have resources on Osceola.org that you can go to and pinpoint your home's address and find out if you're located in a FEMA floodplain. You can actually also use that same resource to find the nearest evacuation route from you so that you can get to safety. So if you go to readyosceola.org, and I believe that's right at the bottom of the screen now on the crawl, very helpful. You can go there and go to your hazards and your floods, and you can find exactly that information. Build a kit is item 2. You want to make sure that you go and you have the supplies that you will need to survive without power for a couple days. You want to make sure that you have water, drinkable water for every member of your family. You want to make sure that you have food, you have batteries to supply your electronic devices and all of that fun stuff. You want to make sure that you have a supply of medicine for everybody that needs medicine, first aid supplies, all of that stuff. That also is through readyosceola.org. You can find good suggestions for lists of things. Get those now before everybody else is trying to find the exact same resource. So, if you've been through hurricanes before, you know the joy of trying to find a sheet of plywood when you're 3 days out. Those are the sorts of things that you can have in your garage right now and be ready and prepared. As far as stay informed, that's easy as well. Find a local and trustworthy media source that's going to get you your factual information and the weather forecast for you. Get a NOAA weather radio. Make sure that that has batteries and is ready to go and is tuned in to your local forecast. That'll keep you alert for any bad weather that's headed your way. Also, Osceola County offers a free emergency alert service. It's Alert Osceola. So if you go to alertosceola.org or text the word Alert Osceola to 888-777, you can enroll for free alerts. So you can get all of that information that's local, so you'll know shelter information, any kind of pertinent emergency advice. We'll come across that in the way that you choose. So you can get text messages, you can get a phone call, even TTY compliant if you're hard of hearing. You can also get email. So whatever is the best way to reach you and get you information for life safety, that is available for you.
That's awesome. I'm going to make a promise to you guys that we will continuously promote what you just said as far as getting the enrolling with the text and Alert Osceola. It's a big deal. I think we all think, especially now, we've been looking at emergency situations for over a year now, and I think the people I speak to, unfortunately, sometimes I still think that we think we've got this thing. We've got all the information we need, and social media will take care of it. That's just not correct. We don't do it that way. We consult with you. We connect with you because we know that that's the source. That's the real deal. So we'll keep pushing that out so people know to do that. Something. I mean, you both said about 20 things I was going to stop and try to expand on, but one of them was from what both of you were saying is it's also the information of what do we do or what do we not do once a hurricane passes, because I see great amounts of faux pas when it comes to that. Hurricane doesn't get out of the area and then everything is blue skies from there. So either one of you want to speak on just kind of the obvious points of what not to do if we unfortunately have a hurricane this year that passes through? What do we do? What do we not do after it finishes its trek through us?
One of the first things, and I'll let Andrew talk about one thing on the fire side, I know he'll bring up, but first things is wait. I mean, most people are either going to be at their homes, at a friend's, taking shelter at one of our school shelters, is wait until the all clear is given. We're going to have power lines down. We're going to have tree branches all over the roads. And there's going to be some safety concerns out there that we just want people driving around. There are going to be the ones that want to, be gawkers and maybe take photos, but we want to wait until our major, what we call cut and push, is completed. So our major road arteries are cleaned, so that, getting normalcy back to a little bit with businesses and that is done first. So that's first thing, safety first with anything that we do. We want to protect our residents from any injuries or, cause of death immediately following a storm.
Yeah, that's true. You just made it through a Cat 2 hurricane and you're safe. Stay safe.
Right.
There's no need to go out. It's probably going to be nice out a few hours after the storm passes. Don't be that person that goes out and gets injured because, the streets are closed. Guess what? We can't bring an ambulance to you as quickly as we normally would. So response times, who knows? Stay indoors. There's no need to go and kick the power line and see if it's live or not.
Yeah.
These are things that happen every time.
It.
So don't do that.
The other
and then the other thing that I would speak to is if power's out, run your generator responsibly. It can't be run indoors, even in your garage. Keep it outside, away from everybody. We don't need CO2 poisoning or any of that going on. Yeah. You did it. Good job. Keep being safe. Is our recommendation.
Another thing on that, just in protection for our utility workers, a lot of people try to be their own electrician sometimes.
Right.
So they get the generators and then they try to rewire them into their house set. So that's great at one point, but then when our utility workers are trying to re-energize the line down the road, he might just have affected them trying to bring the system back up. So make sure if you get a whole house generator or something that you have a professional electrician look at that. But if you're running a smaller generator, like Andrew said, make sure it's from any doors, away from any windows, and well ventilated, and keep that outside.
Yeah, what came to mind and what you both were just saying as far as generators, I honestly think that should be a separate show just on that kind of thing, because it's like you said, don't kick the line to see if it's live. You only said that because it happens. You only mentioned the generator in the garage because it happens. And so maybe we can come back and speak on that specifically. And what hit me was a lot of folks moving into the state, a lot of people moving into Central Florida, humongous numbers, didn't realize that was what they bought when they bought the house, that they can actually reverse that power, and the generator can power the house, but they have no idea what that means. So maybe that's something we talk about, but by all means, call an electrician. By all means, fire up your generator. If you don't know how, that's nothing that makes. If you look at a generator and you have never used a generator, you might not get that whole thing. It doesn't look like it's not a go-kart.
Right.
Ask somebody. I know I did. I asked a friend that, I don't mind saying it. I wasn't sure. I unboxed it and said, I'm not sure I know how to do this thing right. So I brought a friend into it, and, they're made to be rained on, I guess, so they can get away from your garage a bit.
And honestly, now it's another one of those items that you maybe only use once a year or once every other year. Now's the best time to get maintenance done, make sure it's still actually even running, so
Right.
that it's not just one more thing that you have to go out to the big box store and go buy along with 300,000 other people.
Right.
So, make sure that you have something that functions now if you're using one.
And the crazy thing is, it hit me also that this is not the first time we've spoken about the COVID effect to the hurricane season. This is actually round 2 on that. So you've got to feel good, Bill, about the fact that a large amount of folks are vaccinated. That's been, thankfully, that is, thank you to those who created this. Whatever your take on, whoever's listening, whatever your take on vaccinations is. Fact of the matter is, it's a good thing that we're, the reason why that positivity rate's coming down is because people are getting vaccinated, for one. I'll say that. So it's got to bring a little bit of solace to both you guys, knowing that we're in a different position than we were 1 year ago as we approach hurricane season. So let's talk a little bit about that, if you would, Bill.
Sure. Yeah. So we're give you a little bit of numbers right now. We continue to track, and I want to thank it. We wouldn't be where we're at now if it wasn't for Bianca McCluskey, our health administrator, and her team.
Sure.
Phenomenal job on our county pod site and our support from our state sites and our bus missions that we get. But we're currently at 16 for the age group 16 and above. We're at 47%. Our 65 and over population was our most vulnerable, and that's where we focused when we first started. We're a little bit about 78% of that population vaccinated. So we're very, very fortunate, very happy with that number. We continue. You'll see us continue into next month with vaccine operations and continuing to offer that to our public. And that's like you said, we've got various types out there, and everyone can make their own decisions, but it's definitely one of the tools in our toolbox to help us through this period. So I think that's been a positive as well.
Yeah, it's a good tool. I think we all realize that is the case. Anything else you want to share with us, Andrew, as we get a little close to the time and that came up in your mind while we were talking, you'd like to share with the folks?
Well, there's always something. So what else can we talk about? We could talk about the yard. We could talk about fire prep. So we've got, aside from hurricane, so we float right from wildfire season into hurricane season. So we're not trying to scare everybody, but we can kill two birds with one stone here with some outdoors and gardening prep, actually. So for wildfire prep, it's always helpful to have a defensible space around your home. So when you're planning how your garden is grown, make sure that you don't have shrubs or trees that are right against your house. For both, you want to make sure that you don't have low overhanging branches over your home. It's a fire hazard and a wind hazard if you have a strong storm blow through. And make sure your gutters and your eaves are clear of debris that could catch fire, and that your lawn is free from debris that might catch in wind and cause extra damage that way.
Just a reality, right? I mean, it's part of the responsibility of living where we live. We don't live in a mundane, even temperatures. Everything's honky dory, 365. That's not where we live.
That's true.
I mean,
even now, maybe we've got some rumbly thunderstorms going by right now. Now's blue sky weather, so there's nothing really going on right now. It's the best time to be thinking about this. Not we have 2 days until a potential impact. That's when everybody's out looking for the same stuff, and it's going to be a hassle, or worse.
Yeah, and I would guess that we talked a little bit in the beginning. You mentioned the industry mentions. I think you called it hurricane fatigue. I think this has been such a trek. I also think we have alert panic a little bit too right now, and we mentioned it a little earlier when it came to the gas thing. It concerns me, that we're not, the numbness and the fatigue definitely concerns me as a resident. But the panic, I think, and I know that might be insulting to somebody, but it's real. And as a resident, it worries me because that can be its own problem. And I think that's dialed down by what you two guys are saying is in the way of preparedness. So I hope people are checking that out and get out there. I'd like to invite you back. I hope we'll do this. I hope we can do this every couple of weeks at the least.
Definitely.
As we prep forward. Bill, anything you want to share? I know we talked about the gas.
I know we were talking about. We're trying to see the end of the tunnel. I want to give our viewers a couple of things that's coming up. This Saturday, May 15th, will be our last day for our state testing site at Main Gate Disney. They've been a great partner. It's been a great resource for our residents and guests there, but that'll be coming to an end as the state starts looking at their programs and resources. So that's one thing I do want to lay out. You mentioned about the gas, so it's a good point. We've been tracking that with our state EOC. We've been on meetings and calls. It's really impactful to Region 2, the Panhandle. So that's part of our Panhandle area that receives gasoline deliveries or points from that pipeline. We do not. Here in Central Florida, the rest of the state of Florida does not. We receive ours either through the Port of Tampa or Port of Cape Canaveral. So our lines are good. What we're seeing now is panic buying, as you noted. So what that does is just hamper or delays delivery for a day or two here and there. I did some drive around today just to look at some of the local facilities. Notice that some bags were out and some of those things, but it's not a supply issue here in the state of Florida. There is a concern nationwide because it does funnel up to some of the major airports.
Right.
So we're tracking that, but they are hoping to get that back up in operation by beginning of next week. So, but and as Andrew said, we don't need to wait till last minute, and don't hoard things. We saw that through 2020, especially with the toilet paper. I hate to mention that, but those type things, they're there, but we just don't need to abuse them and over purchase what you don't need. So
buy two. You're saying buy 2 rolls, but not 1, and don't buy 4.
Right.
Yeah, those great days of last year when all we had to worry about was the roll of Charmin, and now we can't even put gas in our car. So
the love of social media. It's all. It's always accurate and always available. Gotta love it. All right, guys. Well, I really do appreciate it. I took the time of getting that clip of just to remind people what a hurricane looks like. I would be remiss if I didn't show, just for those who have absolutely spaced out on the love and beauty that these storms bring. I'll just for a couple seconds, bam. I think we can talk over these.
Yeah, all right.
This poor guy here.
What was he doing?
Trying to use social media.
All right.
But this is the way it went, and this is, we've all seen. Unfortunately, we've seen these things, right?
Correct.
Crazy. And that one, I think we should close on the obvious: don't swim when you see the waves and the red flag.
Turn around, don't drown. And honestly, if the worst thing that happens is that we're all really prepared and we don't have a storm this year, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So, but be prepared for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we'll keep reminding. We'll officially re-invite you guys shortly. I hope you do have time. I know as we get closer to the beginning of June, it gets even busier for you guys. But I do appreciate you both, and I will make sure we invite you back here to get people mindful of the potential dangers and the easy solutions if you get prepared.
All right,
cool.
Keith, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Keith.
Again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola with our Osceola Matter Show with Bill Litton, Director of Emergency Management with Osceola County, and of course, the one and only Andrew Sullivan, Public Information Coordinator with Osceola County Fire, Rescue, and EMS, and of course, the Office of Emergency Management. Bam, nailing the titles here, folks. Together, we're making a positive difference in and around Osceola County. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.